Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me for another Cricut tutorial. Today we're going to be making personalized Christmas labels with our Cricut. You can use the Cricut Maker or the Cricut Explorer and the print and cut feature to create these fun labels. The idea behind these was that my grandkids want to participate in handing out packages, and since they're not of the age to read quite yet, I thought it would be fun to put some photos on the labels instead of names so that they can participate and have some fun handing out packages. So let me show you how this is done. So the first thing I like to do when I'm working with a print and cut image in particular is prepare my canvas. Now, when you go into Design Space, by default, your quarter inch grid lines and your 1 inch grid lines are on. If you want to turn those off, and that's how I prefer to work, but do what works for you, you can just click in this upper leftmost corner right here in the grids, right between the two zeros. If you click it once, it's going to turn off those quarter inch lines, and if you click it again, it's going to turn off all of the lines so that you have a plain white surface to work on. Now, since we're going to be doing some tags and labels, and some of them are going to have a white background, I'd rather change that background to a color just to make things easier to see. So if we click down here on the circle right where it says blank canvas, and we change that to a different color, let's just change it to gray. That's going to make things a little bit easier to see. Just click again and that screen will collapse back into the sidebar. So the first thing we're going to need to begin to create these personalized tags is we're going to need to upload our photos into Design Space. We're going to click right here on the upload button. But we're not going to click here, which is where we usually upload images. We're going to click over here and upload a pattern. We're going to make these tags into patterns. So we're going to click Upload Pattern. And then we're going to browse. You're going to navigate to where your photos are. I've got some right here I just threw on the desktop. So we're going to click Open. And here you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to call this one EV. We'll just call it EV1. And you can put some tags in there, click on any of these if you want. But I'm just going to click Save. Now it does take a moment to save an image depending on how large your file is, but it does take a moment. You can upload any image as a pattern as long as it is a JPEG, a GIF, a PNG, or a BMP file. Any of those work. Now you don't see right here that picture. That's because it's not an uploaded image, it's an uploaded pattern, but it's in there. But before we deal with that, let's go upload a couple more. Let's just get another one. And I'm going to choose another image that I have. Let's use this one of Ace. Click Open. And again, we're going to click Save. Okay, again, it doesn't look like anything happened, but it did. So all we need to do is let's go back to the canvas by clicking on Canvas. And now we're going to click some shapes. I'm going to create a tag of Ace that is, let's do the hexagon. So I've grabbed the hexagon. Now all I do to get that picture of Ace inside the hexagon is click on the scissors over here. We're going to change it to Print. Click on Patterns, and there you can see Ace is now one of my patterns, so I can click on that. And it has now filled this shape with my picture. Now you can see it kind of started to tile and put another one of him, and he's not quite centered, but we can fix that. We just click right down here in the lower right on the Edit button. And this gives me the ability to make the photo a little bit bigger. And that's a little too big. We can go up a little at a time. And then I want to move him over to the right a little bit. So I'm going to move it up and the horizontal, move it right. So you can manipulate your patterns or your pictures to fit the image. And I'm just clicking on the up arrow to get him centered in there, or pretty close to it. And that looks pretty good to me. So there I have the beginning of my first tag. Okay, so we want to make this a little more Christmassy, but let's go ahead and get Evie's tags going. So we're going to again click on Shapes, and let's make Evie's a circle. We're going to fill this circle with Evie's pictures. We're going to click on the scissors, Print, Patterns, There's my picture of Evie. Needs to be a little bit bigger. We're going to click on Edit. Going to increase the size. And then we are going to use the down arrow to move her over to the left a little bit on the horizontal settings. Perfect. All right, so you can manipulate that as much as you want or as little as you want. Okay, so let's make these look a little more festive, a little more Christmassy. I am going to insert a shape. Just going to grab a square. I'm going to unlock Keep Proportions, and I'm going to make it kind of a rectangle. And I'm going to grab Evie's picture. I'm going to set this right over the top. Now I am going to grab that rectangle in the Layers panel and change that to white. Select them both. Click Slice. And now I'm just going to grab this piece away. Then select them both again. And click Flatten. Whenever you click Flatten, it's going to make one layered image. It's going to take everything that you had selected and make it into a print and cut image. So now we have this fun little block here that we can add to and from or whatever we want to add. So we'll handle Evie's that way. Ace's, I think I'm just going to write Love Santa on this. So I'm just going to put, actually, let's look at images. And let's click Santa in the search bar. And there's some really cute Santas in here. I like this one. Let's just click that. And let's see if we can fit this on Ace's tag a little bit. Maybe we'll put it right here. And then I'm just going to type text and put from. And I like to work, when I'm working, I like to work much larger than my finished image is going to be. Just makes things easier to see and proportions easier to see. And then we can resize it when we're all done. So now we have Ace's filled tag, but we have this text on top. And if you look over here in the Layers panel, it's set to cut. But if we select all and flatten, you can either click Flatten right down here in the lower right, or you can right click and click Flatten. Now that is a print and cut image. So I still want to add just a little bit of something to this one to make it look a little more festive. So I'm going to go back to my shapes. I'm going to grab that hexagon again. And I'm going to send this to the back by right click, send to back. So now it's behind this one. And I can look at this one. This one's 3.5 wide with the proportions locked. So I'm going to go to this one and I'm going to go to, let's say, 4.0. So that'll be about a ½ inch bigger than the one behind it. Now let's go over here in the Layers panel. Let's make this green behind it. So I'm going to click on the green swatch. I'm going to click on the green swatch and change that to green. Then we'll select both, click Align Center. Now those two are aligned. While everything is selected, we're going to right click and flatten. And now we have this cute little label for Ace. It says from Santa. It's got his picture. He's going to know which gifts are his. So let's dress Evie's up a little bit with the same idea. So I'm going to put in some text and I'm going to put to, and let's find another type of text. That's cute. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. I'm going to put that right here. And let's grab another Santa. So let's go over here. Santa's still chosen because we picked that before, and I'll just choose this one. Click Insert. From Santa. Something like that. Now we can select all, right click, flatten. So now we have that as a one layered image. I think I want to add something else to her. So let's go back to image. And I think I'll just pick this one right here. Comes in. Going to resize it a little bit. Maybe put it like this. So again, we're going to select all, right click, flatten. And if we click on this, we see it is 3.1. So let's grab another shape and let's put an outline behind Evie's. We're going to grab another circle, right click, send to back. So it's behind this one. Let's click back on that one. That was 3.1. So we are going to make this one, let's make it let's just do 3.3. Let's change it to red. Perfect. Select both, align, center, right click, flatten. And now we have that for Evie's labels. All right. So you can make labels. You don't have to use the photos. You can also, let's just go to images and let's type label. And you can grab any type of label you want. Let's just grab this one. Click insert. And here's our Christmas label. I'm going to change this one to white. All right, now we're going to go over to images and let's just type in Christmas. And we could just put Merry Christmas on it. Let's use this one. This is cute. Click insert. There's been so many really cute images added to Access. All right, this is really big. So let's make this like 3 inches so I can get a hold of it. Here we go. So I can just add this to a tag. Sort of like that. Select the tag and the image, right click, flatten. And now we've made a tag out of that. You could add your to and from. So you can see there's just endless possibilities. So we're going to select all, right click, flatten. And now we have another tag. So you can, obviously the possibilities are endless. You can create tons and tons of tags. So I know the maximum printable area from the desktop design space is 9.25 by 6.75. So what I like to do is click on shapes, grab a square, and let's change this square. We're going to unlock Keep Proportions by clicking on the lock right here or clicking on the lock right up here. And we're going to change this width to 6.75 and the height to 9.25. That is the biggest that we can print in Design Space. So let's scroll this down a little bit or zoom this out a little bit so that we can see what we've got here and how many of these tags we can fit. So I'm going to click on this, right click, send to back so that my rectangle's in the back. And now I can sort of figure out the placement and how many of these tags I can actually print. I don't want that nearly that big. So I'm going to grab that one, and anything I can fit within this rectangle is going to fit on one page of Print and Cut. So I'm going to duplicate this. Well, let's go 4 times and see how many of these we can fit. You can arrange these any way you want. So I'll get 4 of those labels, and I'm going to duplicate this one. And of course you can use your alignment tools and get these all exactly lined up. I'm not that fussy about it. Let's make some of Ace's. We're going to duplicate that one. Now you can use any kind of sticker paper you want. I have tons of the Cricut printable sticker paper, which is closer to a cardstock, but I really prefer to use the Cricut printable vinyl for my stickers or labels. So you can see I filled up my printable area. Now these are not going to stay in place unless I tell Design Space that I don't want you to rearrange these. I have these exactly the way I want, because if Design Space does it, it's probably going to print it on 2 pages. So what I'm going to do is grab my rectangle, get rid of that, select all of my printable images, right click, and click attach. When you attach something, that tells Design Space, don't move it. I want you to print this or cut this exactly the way I have it laid out. I don't want you to move anything. So you're going to click attach. And now Design Space has going to keep everything together. So the next thing we're going to do is click Make It. So I'm going to print this one on my Epson printer. I have an Epson Workforce 7610. I know you're going to ask me. It is an inkjet printer, and I like it because it can handle the heavyweight papers because it has a straight through paper feed. So one thing you want to make sure you always do is click on the Add Bleed. You should always leave that bleed on. What that does is put a little extra ink right around the edges of your cuts, and that ensures that you have edge-to-edge ink on your cuts. You don't have any white edges. If you're getting the bleed with inside the image, if say the Santa on here came out with the extra ink around it, looked a little blurry around the edges, that means I forgot to flatten it. So if you're getting the blurry print on the inside, that's because you forgot to flatten it. But I always leave the bleed on, and then I always click on Advanced Options. Now you can use a laser printer or you can use an inkjet printer. Either one's going to work, but you need to click on the Advanced Options and make sure that you choose the correct settings for your printer. I always make sure that it's printing on the best quality. So I'm going to click on Best, and then I'm going to choose Media Type. Make sure you choose the best for your sticker paper that you're using. The Cricut sticker paper is more like a cardstock. It's very thick. If you're using a thinner cardstock or a thinner sticker paper, you want to choose something like Labels. If you're using a clear sticker paper, make sure you're choosing the clear sticker paper. But make sure you choose the correct paper and make sure you put it on Best. That's going to give you the best results for print and cut every time. So click Print. Once you've printed it with your printer, you're going to put it on your mat in the upper left corner, just like it shows on the screen. It should look something like this. You can see it printed it out in the exact way that I had it set up on the screen. And I've just lined it up right on the left-hand corner. This black outline is the printer registration marks. That's what tells Design Space where your images are on the mat. So you're going to click Load. You're going to choose the correct medium for whatever kind of sticker paper you're using. I'm using the Cricut vinyl, so I'm just going to put the Design Space setting on vinyl, and then I'm going to click the C. It's going to load the mat as usual, and then it's going to pause for a moment. And you're going to see that light come on, and it's going to go around all four sides and check to see where those registration marks are. And again, that's how Design Space knows exactly where your images are. So it's just going one at a time, and it's scanning over those lines in various places just to orient Design Space with what is on your mat. Once it reads those lines, it's going to pause. The carriage is going to return, and it's going to pause for just a few moments, and then it's going to start cutting. So when you see it stop and go back and sit, just wait for a moment and it will start cutting. Watch the screen if you have any kind of issues and see what it tells you. Again, you want to make sure that you're printing on the best quality. If you print on draft, sometimes those registration marks aren't dark enough for Design Space to read. You want to make sure if you're using a glossy label paper, that can interfere. It works on glossy label paper, but just make sure it's not too glossy because sometimes the reflection can mess with the scanner readings. So I prefer to use matte anyway when I'm doing labels, but again, just make sure you print on best quality. Make sure that you're picking the correct setting, the correct paper for your design. You can see the bleed around the edge. That's what that bleed is for. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got a few ideas. If you did, please like, subscribe, share, and until next time, never stop making. See you guys. Bye-bye.